Hey guys, it's M4J here, and welcome back to M4J-Hatfield Racing here on F1 2021. I nearly said F1 2022 there. I've been talking a lot about F1 2022 for the full-time job. Very nearly accidentally mentioned it there. Yeah, welcome to F1 2021. We are here in Austria this week for round 7 of our first season here in my team. And I decided to shake things up a little bit this time around. Instead of doing P1 out on the track, I decided to do P1 as quick practice instead. Basically, I'm trying to get the car developed a little bit quicker now. I think one of the best ways to do that when you're not driving very well is to actually focus on the off-track stuff. So in other words, choosing the practice programs that I think would be able to complete, getting those done. So I think that was that tyre management I think I did there? Or it might have been race management that I did there. Just to get, I think it was tyre management by the looks of things, because we've got race strategy here. Actually, it might have been track acclimatization, thinking about it. But then I thought I'd do race management here out on track. I didn't do very well on the first lap. Did okay on the second lap, but this third lap, absolutely nailed it. As Tom's put in the notes here, P2 fastest lap. I really, really like Austria as a track. I was very much looking forward to Austria. I'm also looking forward to Monza, but for very different reasons. But this one, I like how instinctive this track feels. That tight corner at the top of the hill there, turn 3, that can be a bit tricky. And this corner here, I actually found I was having some problems with, especially during the race. But the rest of the track, like this corner here, if you can get the entrance right, which I kind of do there. I slowed down a little too much though, which wasn't great, which then makes you overcompensate and can send you into the gravel there on the right. But then this section here, you can go flat out around this right-hander. And these last two corners are arguably the most fun section of corners on any track in the F1 calendar, in my opinion, of course. This last corner here, if you get it just right, it almost feels like the car is balanced on its front right and rear left wheels, and the other two wheels are off the ground. You can really like swing it into that corner. Now, I was fully expecting to lose the back end doing that, but I actually got away with it more often than not. I was very, very happy with that. But yeah, it's just, I guess it's just one of those things, I suppose.
Good day today. Let's have your take on it. You put in a lot of time on the track today. Was there a reason for this? How do you feel the competition is for you this season? Appreciate your time.
So I had a little chin wag with Claire there. She was actually quite nice to me today, which is very, very rare. Normally it's like, you know, you had a crash today. Can you tell us a bit about that? You swapped some paintwork with insert name of driver here. Can you tell us what happened there? Oh, you came off track a lot. What's wrong? Can you not drive a car? You know, that kind of thing. Anyway, Q1 then. So this is my fastest lap of Q1. Slight spoiler alert. Doesn't necessarily tell you much, actually, to be honest. I've been very, very tight-lipped about how well I did in qualifying. But again, this is just, once you've got the car dialed in, I'm using an Austria setup from Racing Games. Oh yeah, I forgot about this bit. Don't blame the race setup on, the car setup, sorry, on that one. That's entirely me. But yeah, racinggames.gg, just type Austria in the search bar. You can get car setups for both dry conditions and wet conditions as well, if you want to go that route. Why you choose that, I don't know. Why you choose to make it wet. Always have a dry race if you can. If it rains during, that's different, but you can't really change the setup at that point. Anyway, I'm distracting myself. So yeah, that tight corner at the top, I keep going to call it the hairpin, but it isn't. But that tight right-hander, turn 3, you can get it wrong like that, and it does cost you. This is still my fastest lap from Q1. You get an idea as to where I am there on the left-hand side. But these last two corners, I always get those last two corners to save whatever I did wrong at the start of the lap. And as you saw there, I shaved off a significant amount of time and went up a couple of places because of it. And when you do things like that, you can't possibly complain. 9th place then, coming out of Q1. Very, very happy with that. We do see that Louis came dead last. 2.5 seconds down was that. I think that was 2.5 seconds down. But you actually see how close I get to the leaders there with my qualifying lap. Very pleased with that. Very, very pleased with that. I think I've got the AI about where I want it. It might still be a fraction too easy. So I might have to look at that a little bit, because Season 1, again, is supposed to be a challenge. And again, I just about get it right this time. I think I actually slowed down a little too much. One of the biggest problems for me here was the gears. So I don't know if I recorded this with the sun behind me through the window or something, but I couldn't see the buttons, or the lights, sorry, at the bottom of the screen to tell me when to change gear. I couldn't see them very clearly. So I had some problems changing gear, particularly on that back straight. So you might see the gearbox struggling a little bit throughout the race. I don't believe I broke the gearbox. Oh, purple second sector, very nice. I don't believe I broke the gearbox or anything. It's not France all over again. But yeah, I did struggle a little bit with that, just in case people were wondering why I just wasn't changing gear. That's why. But yeah, it's another really good lap here in Q2. I'm loving how this car feels now, and the car setups are a huge help. I think it was Q1 or Q2, I can't remember which one, but I did have a little trip in the gravel, which meant I had that, I think it might have been Q2 actually. That last lap was the one, and I just about did it to make it into Q3. And I believe this is my first Q3 appearance of the season, if I'm not mistaken. And once again, good first corner there. The first corner I used to think was the hardest one here, and turn 3 wasn't too bad. It's definitely the other way around now. It has flipped considerably. And we soar up the hill, hit the braking zone perfectly, and that is how you take that corner. Again, it might be a little too slow for some of the absolute pros out there, but that for me felt a lot smoother and a lot better. When you're driving, it actually feels a little bit crap still, but watching it back here, my driving motions look so much smoother on playback than they do when I do them live. And I think because when you're driving live, you're constantly making adjustments on the wheel, and it makes you think you're a little bit untidy. And then you go back and rewatch it. Another purple second sector there. You go back and rewatch it and realize, actually, it wasn't so bad. You might be wondering why I'm staying off that curb there on the right-hand side. It's because we did a stream on Racing Games. There's an F2 challenge, and I kept hitting that curb, and eventually it spun me out. So I just try to avoid that right-hand curb. You technically can ride it. In an F1 car, you can ride it. But I try and stay off it as much as I can, just so I don't destabilize the car.
Let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Verstappen, Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then. Welcome to the beautiful Styrian Mountains for another chapter in the story of the Austrian Grand Prix. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar today then, with 7 rights and just 3 lefts, making up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is barely a corner at all. They'll be flat out through there, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap. So always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Bottas, Leclerc, Lando Norris and Perez, Sainz, Ricciardo, Gasly and the engineer, Vettel, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon and Tsunoda, Giovinazzi, Russell, Lance Stroll and Kimi Raikkonen, Mick Schumacher, Latifi, Mazepin and Louis Delatraz. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Here we go then, race time. And I'm just scrolling down. Here we go. Right. I do remember what happened here, but it's nice to have it written down for me as well. So here's the start. I tried to go up the inside here, and to be honest, most tracks you probably could afford to go up the inside. But when someone comes across you like that, I braked way too late. I can't hide from that. I braked way too late. So this time around, I went around the outside. And yeah, I got forced wide and I lost a place because of that. But at least I basically kept my car intact, which is a lot more important to me than anything else right now. However,
not looking to push for a safety car right now. Just be careful.
Turn 3 becomes just as much of an issue, and I got in a little bit of trouble there with Gasly, I think it was. And yeah, I should have kept my nose clean there too, in all honesty. And then I had a little tete-a-tete with Ricciardo here as well, coming up to the last section. Now, his car is a lot faster than mine, and I probably should have yielded and just let him go in front. But I thought, hell no, and fought back. And to be honest, to outbrake Ricciardo, you have to be on it. And I messed up the first one, which then led up to messing up the second one, and he came up the inside and just batted me out of the way, basically. And then turn 1 here, I had flashbacks of my start, ran a little bit wide, started having some issues there holding up Alonso, who is still on my tail here, and in fact, again, messed up the last corner. After everything I said in practice just now, I had some problems with that last corner, particularly under the race conditions, and it was the penultimate corner, really. I messed up the entrance line into that, and that messed up the line into the last corner. This, however, is just dirty, dirty racing from Fernando. I had the line, I was in front of him, and he just completely wiped me out there. Now, I don't know if Tom's included the replay that I recorded, but I went back and watched it frame by frame pretty much, and it's the AI tries to avoid a collision bug, you could call it. The AI doesn't like hitting walls and barriers and things like that. So Alonso was running quite wide down the left-hand side, and I was forcing him wide with my driving style there, which is aggressive. You know, it's in the Max Verstappen school, I'll admit that. But because he was getting closer and closer to the grass, he suddenly veers right to avoid colliding, and because of that, he hits me. And at that point, the AI just decides, well, collisions happen, so we might as well keep it happening, and he just kept driving into me. That's what happened there. I don't like it. I used flashback. I didn't like the fact that my race was effectively ruined by something that wasn't really my fault. It was an AI thing. So yeah, I did something about it. Here's my pit stop then. We're about a third of the way through the... In fact, we are a third of the way through the race as I come in. I was expecting more drivers to go for the undercut. So imagine my surprise when only Giovinazzi was behind me. And I think Giovinazzi was actually involved in an incident at the race start, which is why he came in for a new wing. And I come out only just in front of him. Try that sentence again. I come out only just in front of him. Here we are on lap 7 though, and thank you Tom for the zoom there. I start to gain some places back from pit lane overtakes. And I also got a purple second sector there as well, so nice. Oh, that's such a smooth first corner as well. Love it. Who are you pointing at? Giovinazzi again for some reason. I don't know what's going on there. Some more pit lane overtakes then. Managed to get past, was that an Alpine or a Williams, I think? Oh, wide on turn 1. I was too busy looking at who I was overtaking there and completely lost track of where I was. But I'm up to 15th now, ahead of Lando. And I've got Louis right in front of me here as we come down the back straight. I've got DRS. I think I slap on overtake as well, do I? I can't remember, but I do kick up a little bit of dirt there to get the line on Louis. And then I go really wide on this corner, and that unfortunately did cost me. First of all, Louis hit me. Second of all, Lando, yeah, I got warned for colliding with my teammate there. I mean, I overcorrected, but again, I don't want to say that was my fault. I think that's harsh. But I was still a bit flustered, went a bit wide, and the McLarens are just like vultures in this game. You go a little bit wide, and they'll just send it straight up your inside, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I'm more not a fan of that because I end up losing places. I think it's very realistic. We've seen what Lando can do, particularly in Austria, so no complaints there. Messed up the penultimate corner again. That let Leclerc through. Did get a purple first sector on this lap though, so I'm very, very happy about that. I still don't know what all the flashing and the arrows are for, Tom. I'm supposed to be... No, I don't think there's anything I'm supposed to be looking out for there in particular, but I'm moving up the grid. That's probably what he's trying to indicate there. I'm up to 9th place now. I've got Gasly just over a second and a half behind me. I've got Charles just over 2 seconds in front of me. There isn't much chance of me really catching Leclerc at this point. And I love this editing here, by the way. 1 corner from each lap for the last few laps of the race. Love it. So here's the penultimate corner, of the penultimate lap. And then the final corner of the final lap. Verstappen's won the race. I come home, though, in 9th place for my 2nd points finish in a row. I was about to say my 3rd, but it's not. It's my 2nd because I didn't score in Canada. I haven't missed a race, have I? I don't believe I have. And yeah, that was a really, really, really good result, all things considered. Yuki got driver of the day. Not really sure how, but yeah. Let's head over to Crofty for the roundup.
After a superb win here in Spielberg, and rightly so, a brilliant effort from the whole team. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
Yuki Tsunoda gets my vote today.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull pull further ahead in the standings. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret? How do you feel about this team's performance this season? Great. Well, that's everything.
Now, I'm not really sure how Yuki got driver of the day there, because he went from 14th to 11th, which is an improvement, don't get me wrong, but he didn't score points. I'm not saying I should have got driver of the day either, by the way, but Perez, I believe, went from 6th to 4th. That's a pretty good rise, and it's point scoring. I mean, I went from 10th to 9th, so I'm not claiming points or anything. There's me hitting Gasly out of the way there. Oh, Tsunoda, actually. I hit Yuki out of the way. Maybe he just had a good start. I don't know. I'm making gains up here, though, and it's only because I hit Gasly there that I don't get the good acceleration away from Ricciardo. And that's what allowed Ricciardo to actually catch up on me again. Now, yeah, it wasn't clean. I should have been a lot cleaner going round that corner. Shouldn't have hit Gasly for a start. That would have been nice. And also a little wheel bang there with Fernando as he went past. I think I saved the replay of this race as well if anyone wants to watch the full-length replay to see exactly what happened with some of the incidents. I don't think it will include the flashbacks, but the rest of them definitely. This here, though, so this move on Fernando, flying up the hill, you can see where the track curves. You know, even there he tries it, he moves across. Now when he actually spun me, he moved right across and hit my back wheel. That time, fortunately, he didn't. There's me going wide on turn 1, and that allows Lando to close the door on me. And here's the overtake on Louis. Now you can kind of see again how I didn't get this very clean up here. Tucked in behind him, wasn't trying to send it up the inside, all good. The problem is, this part here, I moved to the right, which moved him across, but then I took too long to move to the left, which is why I had to clip the dirt. Then I tried to take the racing line again here, but I was coming in too hot, which meant to get back on the racing line, I did have to cut across his nose, and that's why we collided. That also let Lando past, which wasn't, wasn't ideal for anyone, let's be honest. And then that's what allowed Lando to then get the place on me. Nice little overtake there as well, actually, between Lando and Latifi as I'm coming up. At this point, out of the points, obviously. Everyone else is making their pit stops, though. So we've got a chance to get back into that scoring position. Now, I don't think I got my pit strategy right here. I probably could have got an extra lap or so. The fact that I ended up 21st, sure, I fought back up to 9th. But the mistakes didn't help. I think the life in these tyres was slightly gone towards the end. I perhaps could have done more to preserve that. I kept going wide on corners, and yeah, it was just a little bit frustrating. But yeah, that does it for this episode, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course, if you enjoyed the series so far. Drop those comments down below like before. Let me know how to improve the car, the team, the drivers, all that good stuff. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. Have a good rest of your weekend, and until next time, I'll see you soon.